let me tell you a story. It's a story from the absolute darkest hour of the Cold War. It's about how one single decision, made in just a few terrifying minutes, literally prevented the end of the world. And it all starts with a system that was designed to be perfect.
For decades, the entire planet lived under a shadow just like this one, a constant, nagging threat of total annihilation just waiting to be triggered by complex machines and deep-seated paranoia. And on one particular night, that threat wasn't just a threat anymore. It became terrifyingly real.
Well, because on that night, the fate of all of humanity didn't rest with presidents or generals, but on the shoulders of one single unknown man.
To really get what happened here, we've got to rewind. Let's go back to 1983. And look, this wasn't just any year in the Cold War. It was, you could argue, one of the absolute most dangerous.
So you've got these two massive superpowers, right? The United States and the Soviet Union. And they are just locked in this incredibly tense stalemate. Both sides are armed to the teeth with thousands of nuclear weapons, just sitting there, ready to launch a world-ending counterattack at a moment's notice.
And right at the heart of the whole Soviet defense strategy was this brand spanking new super high-tech satellite network. Its one and only job, to be this perfect, infallible eye in the sky. All it did was watch. Watch for the telltale signs of American missiles launching. And if it saw something, anything, the protocol was brutally simple. Retaliate. Immediately. No questions asked. Which brings us to the night. September 26, 1983. Picture this. You're inside a secret command bunker, deep somewhere near Moscow. The shift is quiet, everything's normal, until suddenly it's not.
Just after midnight, bam, the silence is just shattered. Sirens are blaring. Every single screen flashes this angry, blinding red. A countdown clock pops up, ticking down, ticking towards impact. This is it. The absolute nightmare scenario that every soldier had trained for their entire career, it was happening. For real.
And that computer system, the infallible one, it's reporting the unthinkable. It's basically screaming one terrifying message over and over. Nuclear launch detected. Missiles are in the air, and they are coming straight from the United States. The first report flashes up. Okay, the system sees a single missile launch. That's tense for sure. But, maybe it's a glitch, an anomaly?
But then, just moments later, it gets so much worse. The warning escalates. The system confirms 4 more launches. That's a total of 5 inbound nuclear missiles. This is not an anomaly. No way. According to that machine, this is it. This is the start of World War III. So in the middle of all this chaos, the sirens, the flashing lights, the automated system has done its job. Now, protocol says the decision passes from the machine to the man in the chair. And that man was Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. He was the duty officer that night, and his job, his one job in this exact scenario, was to verify this threat and immediately report it up the chain of command. And like I said, the protocol was brutally simple. If he reports this attack, it would almost certainly trigger a full-scale Soviet nuclear counterattack. No hesitation. So yeah, the fate of the entire world was now resting on what he did next. So as everyone else in that room is scrambling, preparing for the end of the world, Petrov just stared at his screen. And even with the computer screaming with absolute certainty, something in his gut, a tiny flicker of doubt, just didn't feel right. And this was the key. He asked himself a really simple logical question. If the US was really launching a first strike, why would they only send 5 missiles? It just made no sense. A real attack, the kind meant to wipe you out completely, wouldn't be a handful of missiles. It would be a massive all-out onslaught. Hundreds, maybe thousands of them, to completely overwhelm your defenses. His human intuition, his gut feeling, just started picking apart the machine's logic. First off, the number of missiles just felt wrong. So then he checks the other systems, and the ground-based radar, which absolutely should have seen these missiles by now, showed nothing. Blank screens. The only thing screaming that the world was ending was this brand new computer. Maybe it wasn't so infallible after all. So, with the entire world literally hanging in the balance, he picks up the phone to his commanders, and going against every single rule in the book, against the terrifying data flashing right in front of his face, he makes the call. He reports a system malfunction. He tells them it was a false alarm, a gut decision with the fate of all humanity on the line. And then came what must have been the longest, most agonizing minutes of his entire life. He'd made the call. He had bet everything, the whole world, on his intuition. Now, all he could do was wait and pray he was right.
The minutes just tick by. Silence. No explosions. No new reports. Petrov, he was right. And this right here shows you the incredible disconnect. On the one side, you have the apocalyptic threat the computer was seeing, and on the other, the simple, almost boring reality of what was actually happening.
So what was it? Turns out it was just a cosmic fluke, a really rare alignment of sunlight reflecting off the tops of some high-altitude clouds. It just so happened to perfectly fool the satellite's sensors, making them think they were seeing the engine flare from a missile launch. Can you believe that? A trick of the light almost plunged the entire world into permanent darkness.
This is what he saved. This beautiful, quiet planet. All because one man, under a kind of pressure I don't think any of us can even imagine, chose to trust his own gut feeling over the screaming, panicked certainty of a machine.
But here's the crazy part. Stanislav Petrov wasn't celebrated as a hero. He wasn't paraded through Red Square or given a medal. Nope. In fact, his actions, which, let's be honest, exposed a massive flaw in their hugely expensive system, were hushed up, kept top secret. For years and years, the world had absolutely no idea how close it came to annihilation, or who it had to thank for still being here.
It's a really sobering thought, isn't it? A testament to the power of calm, human reason in the face of a machine screaming about catastrophe. It really leaves you with a question, though. In today's world, with our ever more complex and autonomous systems, who's going to be our Stanislav Petrov next time?